Thank you, yes. Welcome. What is up, guys? My name is David the Goblin, and today we're going to be talking about some of the RPN rules. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Alright, so the first rule we're going to be talking about today is the one that says, don't take things too seriously. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think people follow this rule very well. We handled it. Alright, let's move on to the next rule. That one was pretty obvious. Alright, now number 6, some people may say this is low-hanging fruit. This is an easy one to point out that a certain member didn't quite follow to treat others with the respect they deserve, and please respect those faults and problems. So, yeah, there was a little thingy that happened with a good friend of mine who, the mods and a couple of the owners of the server were not being very nice to him. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But let's move on to the new rules. So the new rules have some very weird implications. Now this rule on its own is fine, but the way that it's worded means this thing that says in any way demeaning kind of sets really kind of a scary tone, because it means that anyone can find anything you say to be offensive, and you just have to roll with it. And I don't really like that. Like, that's not a good idea. Now, the second thing we're going to talk about is rule number 11. Now, this may seem okay to you at first, like, yeah, well, we shouldn't be negative or, like, making fun of people in the server at all. And, like, yeah, while that on its own is fine, there are a couple of things in this that I would like to touch on. And the first one is there's a couple of words in here that I want to point out. One is good and one is really bad. So the word that I think is good and was a very smart inclusion on their point was the word any. Because that means that everyone has equal protection under this rule, which means anyone can use it, but it also means that anyone can abuse it. And I'm going to teach you how to abuse it with this next word here, the word tone. Now, tone on its own is open to interpretation. Negative or harmful tone, you could interpret anything somebody says as having a negative or harmful tone. Like, say somebody says, I had a cheeseburger, and you say, I'm vegan, and you're like, oh, well, I think meat tastes good. And then they're like, that is a negative and harmful tone. I am going to tell the mods, and I'm going to get you banned. That's just an example. Now, the last rule we're going to touch on here is the one that says, attempt to resolve the issue in DMs. Now, I don't know if any of you guys know about the history of some of these people in DMs, but, yeah, discussing things in DMs does not seem like a good idea to me for most of these people. Like, ooh, look at this. That is spicy. Spicy stuff right there, guys. But anyway, this one's my favorite. This one's my favorite one by far. Ooh, it's so good. It's so good. But, you know, since I was thinking, you know, we know what a headless chicken looks like, but what does a chicken with a head look like?